His Divine Grace is Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON Samstapatacharya Seva the whole world with Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad bhagavatam ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanand. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udiraye nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyuttama shloke bhakte bhavati naishtike. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, entitled The Cosmic Manifestation. Chapter 9, Answers reciting the Lord's version, text 34. Rthaṁ yat pratīyeta rthaṁ yat pratīyeta. To combine that artham with the previous word, rthe. How do you combine? Rthaṁ. You should not pronounce that a. A is silent when you combine. In artham, the second word in the first line, that word a becomes silent. So you should pronounce it as rthaṁ. As if the a is not there. You pronounce it as one word without the a. How do you pronounce? Rthaṁ, thaṁ. That sound should come. Thaṁ, not artham. No. When you separate, you should say artham. When you combine, it's called sandhi in Sanskrit, combining words. Rthaṁ yat pratīyeta na pratīyeta cātmani tad vidyād ātmano māyām yathābhāso yathā tamaḥ. Like yathā and ābhāsaḥ, that combined becomes yathābhāso. One of the A is not there. When you split, it is two A's. Yathābhāsaḥ becomes yathābhāsaḥ. Yathābhāso yathā tamaḥ rthaṁ yat pratīyeta na pratīyeta cātmani tad vidyād ātmano māyām yathābhāso yathā tamaḥ. Rthaṁ yat pratīyeta na pratīyeta cātmani tad vidyād ātmano māyām yathābhāso yathā tamaḥ. Rthaṁ yat pratīyeta na pratīyeta cātmani tad vidyād ātmano māyām yathābhāso yathā tamaḥ. Rthaṁ yat pratīyeta na pratīyeta cātmani tad vidyād ātmano māyām yathābhāso yathā tamaḥ. Rthe, without, artham, value, yat, that which, pratīyeta, appears to be, na, not, pratīyeta, appears to be, cha, and, ātmani, in relation to me. In relation to whom? In relation to Krishna. Tad, that, vidyād, you must know. Who must know? Brahmā. ātmanaḥ, mind. Māyām, illusory energy. Yathā, just as. ābhāsaḥ, the reflection. yathā as tamaḥ, the darkness. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. Please repeat this translation. O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. Continue to read the purport. The 6th paragraph. The same man, however, is enlightened in the disciplic succession from Brahmaji, who was personally instructed by the Lord, or in the disciplic succession from Arjuna, who is personally instructed by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita. He accepts this statement of the Lord. Who accepts? Arjuna. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattas sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha-bhāva samanvitaha. Where is Arjuna's statement that he accepts the statement of the Lord?
10th chapter.
10th
chapter.
What is the verse? Where? No, this is Krishna's statement. Krishna says this. This statement of the Lord, Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo. So what is Arjuna's statement? That he accepts Krishna's statement. No? That doesn't say it. Where is your Bhagavad Gita? Why all of you are sitting without Bhagavad Gita? Sarvam etad rthaṁ manye yen māyāṁ vadasi Keshava. Sarvam etad rthaṁ. Whatever you have told me, Krishna, whatever you state, I accept as truth. Sarvam etad rthaṁ manye yen māyāṁ vadasi Keshava. What is verse number? 14. Which chapter? 10th chapter. 10th chapter, 14th verse. That's why Prabhupada says, he accepts the statement of the Lord, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattas sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha-bhāva samanvitaha. The Lord is the original source of all emanations. And everything that is created, maintained and annihilated exists by the energy of the Lord. The same man who knows this is actually learned. And therefore, he becomes a pure devotee of the Lord, engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So, the discussion here, I will say praise and then discuss this. Om ajnanatimmirandasya jnananjanashalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The discussion here is about the personality of Krishna, of the Supreme Lord. So that personality is the source of everything, including this material world. Now in the material world, it appears like so many things are there, but there is no God. If they search for God in this world, people cannot find God. So they say, where is God? You are imagining there is some God. Where is God? I don't see any God. I see so many things except God. And they are all working so nicely, wonderfully. And you say everything is because of God. So where is your God? So here the statement is, whatever appears to be of any value, the wonderful creation, has got value. If it is without relation to me, that means no relationship with God, Krishna or Vishnu, has no reality. Has no reality. So this entire material world, if it is of any value, and we don't see the connection of this world with Krishna or God, then it has no reality. The example given here is, know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. It's a very nice example. Understand this example, and you'll understand very clearly what Krishna is telling you. There is a sun, and when you see the sun directly, there is sunshine, there is sunlight. So directly seeing the sun means there is always sunshine or sunlight. Now in sunshine, there is no reflection, there is no darkness. In sunshine, there is no reflection, there is no darkness. But if, let us say, you're not able to see the sun, let's say on a cloudy day, the clouds are covering our vision of the sun. Clouds are covering the sun. We don't see the sun. Cloudy day. Then, if there is any light, in spite of the sun being covered, that light is actually reflection. That light is a reflection. And also there could be darkness. There could be darkness. Or a better example is, even when there is sun in the sky, let's say there is a very big building. The sun is rising in the east and there is a big building. So on the western side of the building, there is the shadow. The shadow of this building will be there in the western side when the sun is rising on the east. It's very bright in the sky. So in that shadow, obviously there is darkness. But there could be some light falling in the shadow, which is because of a reflection of that sunlight on some surface on the western side. Right? There could be some light or reflection in the shadow. Normally, when you say shadow, there is only darkness in the shadow. Right? There is darkness in the shadow. But in the darkness, if you see some light, if you see some light in the darkness, there is really no light. But if you see some light, then somebody may conclude, oh, since there is darkness here, this darkness means there is no light of the sun. Darkness is what? Absence of light of the sun is called darkness. Correct? So in the darkness there is no light of the sun. But if there is light in that darkness, then somebody may conclude, oh, that's not light from the sun. Because darkness, there is no light. So if there is light in the darkness, what do they conclude? They may conclude that it is some independent source of light. But actually, in darkness there cannot be light. So if there is light in darkness, that is a reflection of the sun only. And there can't be anything else. Just like this example of the sun. You're seeing the sun You're able to see this building. You're able to see the shadow of this building. Where in the shadow there is darkness. There is no other source of light. Correct? Other than the sun. Now, in spite of sun being the only source of light, if there is light, some light in the darkness, what is that light? Reflected light. So, both reflection and darkness are due to the sun only. Both reflection and darkness are due to the sun only. And the reflection in the darkness is due to the sun only. It's not due to any other source of light. So ultimately, everything has connection with the sun. The sunshine, the reflection, the darkness, everything has connection with the sun. But a person who is not able to see the sun or who doesn't understand the connection of everything with the sun, he will conclude that this darkness is because there is no sunshine and the light is because of some other source of light in the darkness. So Krishna is saying, if there is any light in darkness, that light is nothing but the reflected light of the original source of light. So in this world, which is by nature dark, there is a need for some light from some external source. So what is the external source of light? Somebody may say there is sun, there is moon, there is fire, there is electricity. So all these are sources of light in this world. All these are reflections of the light of Brahma Jyoti. This is what the scriptures explain. None of these sources of light in this world are independent sources. They are all reflected light of the Brahma Jyoti. And Brahma Jyoti is the light that is emanating from the body of Krishna. So ultimately, all sources of light are from the Supreme Lord only, and not from any other source. So similarly, it is explained here that the Lord, the person, Supreme Person, is the original source of everything that exists. And everything is created, maintained and destroyed by His energy only. The entire material world is created, maintained and destroyed by Krishna's energy. That energy is actually the energy of the person, Krishna. The person, it's the energy of the person. And that energy works according to his direction, as explained in the Gita. Māyāṁ prakritihi sūyate sacharācara. By my superintendence, everything is moving in this world. So, a intelligent person who is enlightened in the disciplic succession, parampara system, who receives knowledge from the right source, such a person knows that ultimately the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Person, God, is the source of everything. And everything is actually existing because of Him. Though it appears like there is no connection with God, this material world, they search for God, they don't find God. So they say, where is the connection of anything with God? Where is God, first of all? You can search for God, you can find God, then you can establish the connection. If God is not seen, doesn't exist, cannot be found out, then where is the connection with God? This is the argument of atheists. Atheists always say, you imagine there is some God. God is created by man. This is the atheistic propaganda. But actually, God is not created by man, is created by God. Because before this creation, man did not exist in the form he is there now. and God existed. God only created. God exists. You cannot see God by your methods. Doesn't mean God does not exist. But there is a method to see God. And you agree to follow that method to see God. You cannot demand that if God exists, He has to be present before me. You cannot demand with that. So, the same man who knows this actually is a learned person. So, real knowledge or real learning is to receive knowledge from the parampara, from the disciplic succession. And such knowledge leads to one becoming a pure devotee of the Lord. Iti matva bhajante ma. One who knows this, the God, Supreme Person, Krishna is the ultimate source of everything. He begins to render service to the Lord. And what is the nature of that service? Bhava samandvita. It is with love he renders service. Such service is called pure devotional service. Service rendered out of love is called pure devotional service. So, such a person is described here as Buddha. He is actually enlightened, learned, intelligent, wise, sane. That's a description here. And this is a result of receiving knowledge from the right source. Because there are so many sources of knowledge. But the original source of all knowledge is God Himself. There is so many sources of light, but the original source of all light is the Lord Himself. There are so many sources of energy, but the original source of all energies is the Lord Himself. So ultimately, this verse declares that Krishna, or God, the Supreme Person, is the absolute truth, and everything else is relative truth. Means related to Him. In relationship with Him, other truths exist. They don't have existence independent of God. So I'll read the next paragraph, which nicely explains this further. Although the reflectory energy of the Lord displays various illusions to the eyes of persons with a poor fund of knowledge, the same person knows clearly that the Lord can act even from far, far beyond our vision by His different energies, just as fire can diffuse heat and light from a distant place. The example of the fire is given in the Shastras. Fire diffuses heat and light. Now fire can be situated in one place, but the heat and light can be diffused to a great distance. The example of the sun. The sun is situated far, far away from the earth, but the sunlight and the heat of the sun can be felt even at such a great distance. The sun need not come close to the earth for us to get the heat and light. The sun can be very far away. In fact, the entire universe, there's only one sun which is diffusing heat and light for all the planets. Only one sun. So, just like the sun can diffuse heat and light from a distant place, exactly like that, the Lord, being situated far, far away from the material world, can diffuse His energy in such a way that the entire energy is controlled, maintained, created, destroyed by His arrangement. So that is the arrangement of the Lord, that He, being situated far, far away from this material world, He can act in such a way that He can control this energy and create, maintain and destroy. Now the medical science will be quoted by Prabhupada in the next part of this purport. In the medical science of the ancient sages known as the Ayurveda, there is a definite acceptance of Lord's supremacy in the following words. What does it say? Okay, I'll just read. Jagat yone anichasya chidanandaika rupinah pumsosti prakritir nitya pratichayeva bhasvatah achetana api chaitanya yogena paramatmanah akarod vishwam akhilam anityam natakakritim. There is one Supreme Person who is the progenitor of the cosmic manifestation and whose energy acts as prakriti or the material nature, dazzling like a reflection. This prakriti, material nature, which we all have experienced, which we can see is working, that is actually dazzling like a reflection. By such illusory action of Prakriti, even dead matter is caused to move by the cooperation of the living energy of the Lord. Now matter is moving, there is living energy, the living entities who are moving matter in this material world. So, even though dead matter cannot move by itself, the living entity, the living energy can move matter. But then again, the living entity, the living energy is moving matter not independently. It's like I always give the example, paralytic stroke. You think you are independently moving your hand, but when the person who is moving his hand gets a paralytic stroke, what happens to his independent movement? Cannot move anymore. So, there is control. So that control is the control of the Supreme Lord, Brahmā. He is controlling material nature. Material nature is moving because of his control. And his control can be such that he can give the power of movement of matter to the living entity. Partially he can give that power. The entire power cannot be had by the living entity. Some partial power he can give. Different degrees of partial power every living entity has got to move matter. By such illusory action of Prakriti, even dead matter is caused to move by the cooperation of the living energy of the Lord, and the material world appears like a dramatic performance to the ignorant eyes. Achetana api chaitanya yogena paramatmanah. This is the leela, the dramatic performance of the Lord. That he is not visible, but by his control, by his arrangement, everything appears to be working very wonderfully. Akarod vishwam akhilam anityam natakakritim. Even though everything is temporary, it appears like it is permanent. Even though matter cannot move, it appears to be moving automatically. As far as certain things are concerned, we can see human beings are controlling, moving, etc. But what about the natural things, the movement of the sun? How is it happening in the orbit? How is the sun moving in its orbit? Who is moving the sun? Moving by itself? That's what scientists will say, by itself it is moving. No, nothing can move by itself. It's dead matter. It cannot move by itself. So that is moving because of the action of the Supreme Lord through his energy, material energy. So material energy is moving, is working, moving, everything. So the ignorant person therefore may even be a scientist or physiologist in the drama Prakriti, while the same person knows Prakriti as the illusory energy of the Lord. Why illusory energy? Because it appears like it is independently working or moving, while in reality it is not independent, it is completely controlled and being worked upon by the Lord. So that is the nature of this illusory energy. it presents an illusion of reality. Illusion means something that does not exist, but appears like it exists. It's like mirage in a desert. In the desert, there appears to be a body of water which is actually a reflection of the light, which appears like a body of water. But actually there is no water in the mirage. But that does not mean the mirage does not exist at all. It exists. What it is actually a reflection of light. What it appears like a body of water. Now, the Maya, the philosophy is that this reflection or illusion of water actually does not exist. That is wrong to say it does not exist. It exists. The mirage exists. That is actually what exists is the reflection. You are seeing a reflection as water. A reflection of light as water. Actually there is reflection. Now why are you seeing it as water? Because there is somewhere else real water. Somewhere else there is a real water. Therefore you are mistaking that reflection which appears like water to be water. Let's say there was no water at all. Can you mistake that reflection to be water? No, you cannot. Because there is something called water body, and you have seen the water body, real water. Therefore, when you see a reflection which looks like a water body, you are thinking it is water body. It's water. So, both the mirage is real, the water body which is existing elsewhere is real. Only it is a case of you are mistaking one thing to be another, both of which exist. Similarly, this material world exists, but you are mistaking this material world to be the spiritual world. That is the mistake you are making. It appears like the spiritual world, it appears like real, it appears like permanent, but it is not permanent, it is not real. Not real in what sense? There is no substance. There is no substance. Just like real water is not there in the reflection of the mirage. There is no water. But it appears like there is water. But real water is somewhere else. In the oasis, in the desert there may be an oasis. But there is real water. So that water is there. Real water is there elsewhere. Similarly, in this world, there appears to be something of substance, but there is no substance. The substance is in the spiritual world. And you are mistaking that substance to be present here, in the reflection of that substance. So the material world is actually a reflection of the spiritual world. And the reflection is in the material energy. Just like in the desert, the reflected light on the sand. On the sand, the reflected light appears like a body of water. That's it. Actual water is somewhere else. So, similarly, this material world is actually existing as a reflection of this spiritual world. Only thing, it is temporary reflection. Because it does not remain forever. This reflection will not last forever. It will be there for some time. Afterwards it will disappear. The reflection will disappear. Similarly, the material world will remain for some time. Afterwards it will not be there. But that does not mean the spiritual world also is temporary. Spiritual world is eternal. It always exists. The reflection is sometimes seen, sometimes not seen. But the original object of which this reflection is always existing. So that is the explanation here, that the superior energy of the Lord cannot be as good as the Lord, although there is very little difference between the energy and the possessor energy or the fire and heat. Fire is real, heat is real, but heat is sometimes felt and sometimes not felt. Because it is an emanation from the fire. So, just because there is heat, you cannot say it is as good as fire. Heat is not as good as fire. Heat is coming from fire. Heat cannot exist without fire, but heat is not same as fire. For example, the amount of heat in the fire and the amount of heat in the heat you are perceiving is not the same. Just like the amount of heat in the sun and the amount of heat in the sunshine, is a lot of difference. So, the original source of all energies, what is the energy in that source, is not the same as the energy you are receiving or perceiving. That is just a tiny fraction or a small amount. That's all you can perceive. So, the energy is not same as energetic source. At the same time, energy cannot be without energetic source. So, this is the explanation of the Lord and everything else that is existing apart from the Lord. Everything else that exists apart from the Lord is actually His emanation, and it is controlled by Him, it is directed by Him, it is due to Him, it is coming from Him. He is the ultimate source. He is the ultimate reality, ultimate. And everything else is relative to it. So, we are also relative truth. Material energy or matter is also relative truth. But the Lord, who is the source of both these relative truths, is actually the absolute truth. So, it is Krishna or the Supreme Person who is the absolute truth, and not anything else. Everything else is relative truth. So, that will be explained further. Let's stop here. Any questions?
What is the meaning of substance?
Substance. Substance is that which exists in reality. That which exists in reality. Now, there is a definition in the Bhagavad Gita. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sata. Of matter, there is no eternal existence. And of spirit, there is no cessation of existence. Bhava means the existence. So matter, always you can understand, does not exist eternally. And spirit exists eternally. There is never a time when the spirit will not exist. Just like 12th verse Krishna says, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you nor all these kings. So matter has no substance. That's why we say matter has no substance. So then what is matter? It is actually a presentation of the material energy in the form of illusion. What is the illusion? That it exists. Actually, exists in the sense of eternal existence. Temporarily it exists, yes. But a temporary existence we don't take as factual, as real. Temporary. Asat and Sat. Sat is eternal, Asat is temporary. So matter, there is no substance because it will not endure. Spirit is the substance because it endures. Always exists. Eternally exists. So spirit is a substance. But the Lord, who is the source of both matter and spirit, is beyond both. You cannot say spirit exists always, so therefore spirit is God. No. Spirit is coming from God. Spirit has got a source in God. God is beyond both sources, spirit and matter. Matter also is emanation from the Lord. as one of his inferior energies. It presents an illusion of reality, illusion of some substance. So God is beyond both. The māyām, they study nature of spirit and matter and conclude spirit is God. No, spirit is not God. The spirit has got a source. Spirit is not the source of matter. In this world, spirit is not the source of matter. You cannot create anything material. You can only manipulate existing matter to produce so many different varieties, that's all. Like Brahmā, he cannot create independently. He can take whatever material elements are there and combine and form different varieties. So Brahmā is called the engineer of the universe. What does the engineer do? Takes some raw material and produces some finished product, that's all. So Brahmā is called the engineer, not the creator. Creator is Vishnu. Vishnu, from his energy, material energy, he generates the elements, panchamāhabhūta. Then Brahmā uses those elements and creates different bodies. So Brahmā is the engineer of the universe. Similarly, what can we do? We cannot create matter. We can only manipulate some existing matter and produce varieties. That's all. But there is a person who is creating matter. Who's that? Krishna. He is creating matter. From God, from what is he creating? From his energy, his material energy. He is the source of the spirit. He is the source of matter. So he is beyond matter and spirit. Any other question? Okay, stop. Srimad bhagavatam ki Prabhu ki.
Yes, as you said, I never think in terms of Indian or American regarding my students. I take you all as parts and parcels of Krishna.
Sometimes a beautiful woman is dangerous because everyone being captivated by external beauty, māyāṁ is unable to understand what is in her mind. Those who are captivated by the beauty of an external energy are called māyāṁ.
Actually, there is nothing but Krishna all around us. This is explained in the Gita. He is the taste of water, light of the moon, the fragrance of the flower, light of the sun, sound of the sky, sound of the sky, the power of the song, and so on. So one who is actually making progress in Krishna consciousness, he can see Krishna everywhere.
The musician, because he has a good attachment for music, he tries to perform it very perfectly. So love is the basis. Similarly, when you serve Krishna, we have no love for Krishna, you cannot serve him very nicely. And Krishna also does not accept your service if it is not done in great love and affection.
Be happy and execute more and more service for Krishna, and Krishna will accept you in his association.
Without cleaning the mind, nobody can advance in his spiritual understanding. And the chanting of Hare Krishna is the cleansing process of the mind. That is our motto.